Okay, everyone, let's get this thing popping. Welcome to Hot Metal Mics. Got this esteemed panel. We got one more person making his way. You know, he was enjoying fellowship and the food over there. That's Honorable Nick Nice. Thank you all for showing up. This is great. Uh, Not a huge crowd, but that's all right. I'm just glad that you all showed up, and we're giving you that honor, giving you the flowers, as they say. My name is, just call me Teacher Marlon. We got Brother Marlon. I'll be Teacher Marlon, and I'll be the host of and the moderator. This is going to be more informal than what I wanted it to be, but that's actually good. So I am going to let everybody on the panel introduce themselves, and then we'll go from there.
What's going on? I'm Theon Dupree. I don't even know if I should be up here on this panel because I'm the byproduct of what these guys created. And so I'm the owner of Grand Mode Music Worldwide, Grand Mode Radio Live, Your Vision Television Network. You know, I basically learned the game from these guys here. So to be able to, you know, sit next to these guys and, you know, be in the same company and mention in the same breath is a true honor. So, but I'm gonna pass it over.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Brother Lee Davis, Lee Davis and Associates Consulting. Before that, the foundation came from a clothing store that I co-owned and operated, the first urban clothing store in Pittsburgh called Mo Gear. And then I created a label called CPA Records and Productions. So that's where the foundation started.
All right, y'all. I'm known as Soda Pop Kid from back in the day. I'm a Pittsburgh historian of hip-hop. I've been a rapper since rapping it came out, and then I went from rapping to pop locking and then into hip-hop dancing and been a historian ever since 1979. And just to introduce myself a little bit before we even get into the history, man, it's a pleasure to be up here with all these brothers, man. You know what I mean? And thanks for inviting me here as well, because I know we all got stories to tell up here. So I'm just going to go from here, and when it gets back to me, then we'll get a little bit deeper.
All right, that's what's up.
Hey, peace, y'all. My name is Paradise Gray, and I'm from New York, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Harlem, but I've been a Pittsburgh resident since 1992. And I just want y'all to know that most of the brothers sitting on this panel with me have been my brothers from another mothers since I've been here. And these people are part of the reason why I stayed in Pittsburgh. I watched them struggle and create wonderful art and just be incredible with little resources. You know, they created incredible creations, and they really helped hip-hop worldwide by introducing Pittsburgh to a lot of things that came from outside of Pittsburgh. These brothers were the ones that did the video shows. They're the ones that did the photography. They're the ones that are the movers and the shakers. And I thank God for them. And I just want y'all to know that Pittsburgh healed my soul and my spirit. And wow. Pittsburgh will forever be my home. I feel like I still owe a burden of debt to Pittsburgh for what it brought to me. You're now starting to see why I left New York in 92. You're seeing all the crazy shit that was going on in hip-hop and in the entertainment business. And Pittsburgh let me redirect my life and hopefully make me a better man. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Paradise. That is what's up.
My name is Adam Smith from Underground Hip Hop Video Magazine. I'm the CEO of Wax Productions. We started out with a hip hop and funk and soul production studio. In '92, me and my best friend Les Bigelow had the idea to create our own uncensored music video show after watching Video Music Box and seeing videos by people that we'd never seen before, or low budget versions of videos by artists that we had seen before. And we knew that there was a market out there for a support system to be made for lower budget, newer independent artists that weren't part of the mainstream machine. As a result of that, we ended up doing 17 years on the air, 333 episodes consecutively as a result of a lot of the gentlemen in this room. I'm the guy who created it. Me and my best friend nurtured it and cultivated it, but it doesn't work without the on-screen, on-air personalities that my audience was able to connect with. So I also am honored to share the stage with people who have been directly involved with the development of my company, directly involved with my success, directly involved with the art form in the city growing on an exponential level in ways people will never even know about. These gentlemen have touched. So
Yes.
I thank them as much.
All right. That is what's up.
Nick Nice. What didn't I do?
Yeah, that's
Actually, I've been around so long. Ask your big grandma; she'll tell you all about me. But we got a lot of stories to share today. But I honestly want to say I have a personal relationship with everybody on this panel. We got some great stories. It's sad that our city didn't come out, to see all these OGs from the city that I personally love, because without my city, Pittsburgh, I wouldn't be Nick Nice. You know what I'm saying? So we just going to chat for a few hours and make it happen. I'm going to turn it over here to the OG.
all right. Hey, Black Steel was added. This is a last minute, final buzzer shot, man, but it's all right. It's all good.
It's all good. It's all good. So peace, salute, and welcome everybody in the room. So to introduce myself for those that don't know me, I am Black Steel. I don't always use the DJ because I'm a universal entertainer. I'm a DJ, MC, etc. 98.5/92.1 WPTS FM Elite. 3-time Whammo runner, anchorman of Underground Hip Hop Video Magazine, co-founding member of the Union, co-owner of Digital Analog Radio, started from the vinyl, now we everywhere. There's an app for that. It's an adult contemporary radio station that you could take anywhere in the world, from the United States to the USSR. And I've been in the game, and when I say 34 years, that means I've been getting paid for it for 34 years. I don't count my training time. I wouldn't have had a long career as I did as a Pittsburgh born, bred, raised, and 2-time house owner in the Hill District without y'all. So I thoroughly appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, so we're going to get this thing started. We got to start with the elder in the room. That's Paradise. Man, Pittsburgh, we are blessed to have such a person in our midst so long. I mean, he's a founder. And this is a wonderful thing to have Paradise here, man. I feel definitely honored with this opportunity. Paradise, I have to ask you a question. Somebody can hand him the mic. Oh, okay. All right, so I have to ask this, with being with the X-Clan, did you know, we got to start in New York, because New York's the Mecca. Pittsburgh, I think every other city is like where the pilgrimages were. Pittsburgh, one of them, anywhere other, but New York is definitely the Mecca. Did you know Clarence X? Because I know the 5% Nation, they were so influential on hip-hop, especially in the early 90s. I didn't know, this is something I just wanted to know. Were you part of the 5%ers, or did you know Clarence X personally? When you were young, or am I way off on this?
Okay, so I grew up in the Bronx. Clarence 13X Smith and the teachings, at the time we called them gods and earths.
Right.
The 5% Nation of Islam, that's what we called it at the time. That was very prevalent in Harlem and Brooklyn. And in the Bronx, we was the members of the mighty Zulu Nation, which had similar teachings. They were both based on teachings from the Nation of Islam. But my elder was Sonny Carson, and he was incarcerated with Father Clarence 13X Smith, Father Allah. So my elder got to vibe with him in their young years. But at the time, growing up in hip hop, religion, particularly religions based on Islam, were very popular in the streets of New York. You know, it was a way for us to add the fifth element of hip hop called knowledge. So at the same time we were DJing, rapping, b-boying, and doing graffiti, the fifth element was knowledge, and we were learning a lot from the poor righteous teachers at the time. That was the Zulu Nation and the 5% Nation of Islam. Respect.
Oh, so the poor righteous teachers weren't actually part of the five percenters. They were part of the Zulu Nation.
No, we were all poor righteous teachers.
Oh, okay.
That's just a statement, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
But
yeah, like-
a group called the Poor
Yeah,
Righteous
Poor Righteous
Teachers
Teachers, yeah.
came along
Great group.
in the 90s,
90s, right.
in the late 90s. Peace and love, the wise, intelligent.
Yeah, holy intellect. Yes, definitely. Was there anybody on the panel? Was there any 5% here in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
There were.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
worked closely with Lee Davis, Knowledge, and Majestic and I Medina.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
Peace. Yeah, we all kind of came up together. Actually, in the music game, when I first started my first label, we was using the same studio. And so that's how I got to know them. Then, lo and behold, a few years later, we all got into community building and activism, and we loped up again and got together again, and then that's how we started building. But, yeah, they had a strong movement in Pittsburgh, still do. So, yeah, the Gods and Earths, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely did not know that. You know, I remember this is reminiscing time. The medallions we used to wear, red, black, and green medallions. I guess you could buy them on the street back then from all type of stores. That was definitely influenced by the Nation of Gods and Earths. Okay. So Paradise, another thing. Just when
And
you got here,
I'm sorry. Let me just say
Go ahead.
something about what you just said. Actually, the African medallions and the bead, that whole trend came from New York during the time when I ran a club called the Latin Quarters.
okay.
Tell them the story.
What
Go ahead.
happened? What happened in New York was at the time, young people were starting to get robbed on the streets and the subways for their jewelry, their gold chains and their bangle earrings, and guys from jail, they were coming home and they were cutting people in the face with razor blades and giving people what they call a $1.50. That's 150 stitches in your face. So basically, they were lazy. They cut your face, and while you're holding it, they snatch your chain and take your rings and stuff. So, you know, at the club, you know, we had all the gangsters, athletes, and rappers hanging at our club. So at the time, we had to stop people from wearing gold chains in the club because they were starting to snatch 50 Cent, not the rapper, but the gangster and his crew. They start snatching chains in our club. So I started banning rappers from wearing gold chains in the club. And, you know, at first everybody was mad about that, but then we started giving out African medallions and Zulu beads and red, black, and green beads and stuff to people so they could still have their swag, you know?
Right.
So that trend started in my club, went all the way across New York, wound up going all the way across the world.
Wow, man. See, I never knew that right there. This is what we doing this for. I never knew. Speaking of clubs, Latin Quarter, when you came to Pittsburgh, were you involved in opening up any clubs while you were here?
And I was down with Underground Hip Hop Video Magazine on the airwaves, and I used to rock at the Shadow Lounge. I used to hang with Justin and SMI at the Shadow Lounge, you know, watching Mac and Wiz and Jasiri and many other people develop their Wale. So many people were developed. I'll say this, that the Shadow Lounge was at least Pittsburgh's equivalent of the Latin Quarter. You know what I'm saying? And it was a place where these young people could hone their skills. They could get feedback from the crowd. They could shine and they could blossom. Peace and love to the Shadow Lounge. You'll never be forgot.
They closed that down. They closed it down. It wasn't. They tried to say it was a nuisance bar and all that madness, but
We're the nuisance.
yeah, that's what it is. I want to ask the rest of you all from early days, because I remember the club right down here on 22. I'm drawing a blank now again, with the big Atlas. Was that Top Charlie's?
Top Charlie's,
Top
yeah.
Charlie's, yeah. Yeah, Monroeville. Yeah, there's I seen DJ Rob Bass and Easy Rock over there. Can you all tell me, anybody on the panel, because I heard stories. I heard some stories that these clubs were run by some unsavory characters, and I just wanted to know your experience trying to get up in the clubs around here in Pittsburgh. Nick, we can start with you. Go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, if it's true or not, I don't know. Can somebody give him a mic or?
Nah, you got one.
Oh, okay.
Steele's gonna answer.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so in certain forms, I'm always known to protect the guilty to a certain degree. So that's a black Steelism. If you ever hear anybody say protect the guilty, they got that from me.
Okay.
But yeah, there were some clubs that I actually worked in that was, you know what I'm saying, ran by. Let's just call them the underworld. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
It's a greasy term, but I'm gonna just use it just for the sake of conversation.
Oh, you don't want
You
you
know what
say
I
you
mean?
don't want no problems, okay.
Nah.
I don't have no problem saying it.
Oh, okay,
You know what I'm saying?
all right.
It is what it
I
is.
battle with them people, man.
You know what I mean?
wow,
So
okay.
with that being said, I mean, some of them is just, well, I mean, I can honestly say, I can say this now because homeboy had left and went to Florida. But the one cat that I was working under in Bash nightclub in '04, he's a kid of one of them folk. I didn't know that until I threatened to knock him out. You know what I mean? He got my personal space and started yelling while I was spinning a live broadcast on Whammo. And I cut the mic off and I told him, I said, dude, you too close. I will stretch you right here and I know this is your club. And found out he was the son of one of them people. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I mean, immediately, that was my last night in that club. And it was good for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was good for everybody, yes. But they ran a lot of that stuff that was down in the Strip District. They really had their hands in it because they were the ones that were able to get their hands on the real estate the quickest.
Right.
And the cheapest. And the
Yeah,
cheapest.
liquor licenses.
You know what I mean? Because them people, new people, had connections and they were able to get it where other people weren't. But yes, that whole undercurrent existed. And then one of the biggest things that they had, not necessarily sure if they still have it, what was the name of that strip club before it became cheerleaders? Strip's Edge.
Strip's Edge.
Strip's Edge.
Yeah, because
But Bare Elegance, that's what it was called. Bare Elegance. So, yeah, that was all them.
Yeah.
That was all them, and I knew a couple people. This is a whole different story, but I'm not going to lay it out. But they found out that it was them people.
Wow, okay. Go ahead. No, this is what I want. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go up, lead up to that. Now we're gonna go back to Top Charlie's. I think we all kind of got the bug about the club scene in Top Charlie's, as far as having somewhere to go as a young person, and that's where I got the bug about ownership and seeing how things was run. And so when you fast forward to getting the no-look pass to run Kongs with the mafia folks from Monroeville, now the person that got behind me was a guy named El Monzo, who had the hotel Monzo's. And so that was my guy on the left. Yeah, Palace Inn. And so, exactly. And so he was the one that was overseeing all the people that was running the clubs, really. And because he used to bring his, later on, he used to bring his kids down to Mo Guerin's shop, we became kind of close. But leading up to that, when I took over Kong's and they started trying to skim money and trying to squeeze us out the door and trying to do all that sort of stuff, if y'all ever seen the movie Belly, we really did that to Kong's one night. Went up through the back with my whole crew and we got our money. And at the end of the night, we stuck around and took all the DJ equipment and that was the end of Kong's. You know what I mean? And
That's
so,
what happened to us?
yeah, it was over. It was over because we was getting ready to go to war. Because if you remember at that time, and I don't really talk about this unless it's to help some kids, but we was heavy in the game at that time. Salt was my OG.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he gave me the no-look pass. And then I took over the club and started doing under 21 on Sundays. And then Dion was coming on them nights. And then we would do over 21 and do the concerts. And then I started putting money behind all the youngins that wanted to do concerts across the city. Because at that time, man, I was just heavy in trying to learn business, period. But at the same time, some of us was getting money in the streets. And so that's when I was taking the trips to New York in the tunnel, seeing how all this stuff was going down, and then bringing it back to Pittsburgh. But you're right, man. It was a certain element that was controlling everything, and they still control a lot of this stuff today. But now it's more development and housing and all that sort of stuff. The clubs are all gone.
Right. So to add a stripe to his uniform with that.
You was there before Dwayne Muhammad, right?
Well, here's the thing about Dwayne. I'm glad you're saying this, man, because a lot of people don't know the stories.
Yeah.
So
Wait, Ken, hold on. Again, let me get that. Yeah. Paradise asked if Lee was there before who?
Dwayne Muhammad.
Dwayne Muhammad.
Rest in peace.
Shouts out and rest in peace.
So with Brother Dwayne, of course, we're going to go back to the Mo Gear days. I'm doing these concerts and these parties, and Brother Dwayne at the time is a part of the Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And he's coming in asking about how to do these parties and stuff. So what happened was, fast forward, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan brings a bunch of brothers to his house to talk about hip-hop and how we can come together and stop the violence and all this stuff. And Brother Dwayne Muhammad went to that meeting and met a bunch of artists and all that stuff, and he came back to Pittsburgh, and I gave him the blueprint on how to do these concerts and helped him out. But what happened with him was he went against the minister, and he got abolished from the nation. A lot of people don't know that. Because if you notice, after the concert started, Dwayne Muhammad started doing his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I'll leave it at that because, I still talk to his sons and all that stuff because they grew up in my hood, but that's what happened to the brother, and that's how he got started. Similar to B. Marshall doing his thing now, when I brought him into the community side after he got, got done with the clubs, I'll leave it at that, but that's how he got started. Now you see where he's at.
Brandon Marshall?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Not Brandon Marshall.
Concert,
B. Marshall.
the one that does all the,
Juneteenth.
yeah, exactly. And so, Dice, when it comes to a lot of things in this city, I never talked about it, but I'm telling my story now,
Oh, yeah.
or as this year coming up. But there's a lot of people that I got behind that brought it to the game.
Yeah. So to add a further stripe to his uniform with that. So if you've ever seen any pictures with myself and Adam, with Jay-Z, all of the pictures that we've taken with the Lost Boys, all of those were in the green room of Kong's when Feast was running the show. So just so you know, the receipts are always out there because in 2024 and beyond, I'm all about receipts. Anything that I'm telling you is factually backed by everything that's out here.
Hey, Black Steel, I don't think they know my nickname was Feast.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I was wondering who you was
pretty
talking about,
feats.
Feats.
Pretty feats.
Yeah.
Pretty feats with the blue eyes.
I don't want to know where that came from, man. All right.
So
Okay. Okay, I got you.
let me. Can I take y'all back real quick?
Okay, go ahead, Nick.
So I'm gonna take it back from the time I started. For some of the names that was mentioned, wasn't even in the game yet. That's how long I've been doing it. 44 years. So back in my day, the clubs were your corner bars. There really wasn't too many clubs.
Right.
Most of them, majority was white owned. But one of the best black establishments I ever worked for was Wilson's Catering.
Oh, okay.
Eddie Wilson ran it, and he took care of everybody.
Was that down in Homewood?
No, East Liberty, right
East
across from where
Liberty, okay.
Pizza Hut used to be,
Okay.
on the corner.
Oh, that pizza. Okay.
So,
That was before Kong's.
listen, I'm going back.
Before Top Charlie's.
Yeah, I'm going back. Like, I started at,
That's the 80s, dog.
That's that Dorsey record shit.
listen,
See, you
I'm
jumping the
talking
gun.
about,
I was
I'm going Coliseum days, and then when you get your eat at Woodside first,
Yeah.
potato buds.
Yeah.
But the clubs I'm talking about is the original Tourist Club on Lincoln Avenue. My man Sherman, rest in peace.
Yeah. That's why we doing this, because people are leaving us.
As I said, Wilson's Catering. Because I was at Small World. So I started DJing in the bars when I was like 15.
Hey, Nick, I have to say that I heard you were in a band before you started DJing. You were playing conga drums. This is true?
Bongos.
Bongos.
Yeah.
Oh, man, what?
And I had a solo.
I can't see you singing, man, but
Listen,
hey, okay.
Listen, I was at the end of the stage. I was so petrified that I just stared at the exit sign and waited for my solo.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, we used to have with Stan the Man, Rob Fuller,
All right, now, give it up.
Kevy Kev, Tone was on the drums. Dave Zeck was the bass. Pete, Purple Thriller. Y'all know about Pete. You know, so that's my dog as well. He was on the lead, and I had the bongos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. See,
And we used to practice at my house.
Oh, okay. What kind of music did y'all play?
Man, listen.
Funk?
Don't even go there.
All right.
We did it all. But
Okay.
definitely one thing, most of the guys that they're talking about, which those club owners were, I didn't really have an issue. But I must say, I could speak for all of us. If we knew what we were worth back then, we would be able to have this today, and we front and pay for everything,
Right.
and have our city come for free,
Yeah.
and pick our brains.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I had no clue. I was in the streets 10 years before I even got at Whammo. Whammo wouldn't even look my way.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that definitely.
But I had the opportunity.
Yep.
I got hired in May of 1992 from Hurricane Dave, which is one of the realest PDs that you'll ever meet in this whole entire world.
Okay.
He was about his DJs. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, if we knew what we were worth back then, like I didn't have a clue. When I got hired on the radio station, I was just happy to say,
Be doing.
just so you could hear me mix.
hear
I didn't want to
right.
talk. I didn't care about no talking.
Right.
Man, you should have heard me my first day on the radio. J.J. Stone was supposed to stay there and help me.
Yeah. Stuttering.
This is the on button. This is the call me if you need me.
Okay.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
All
But
right.
we go back, man, you know, like a long time. You got, believe it or not, you got a lot of history on this panel right now.
I know. That's why I want to get it.
And actually, we could be here till tomorrow,
I
same
know.
time.
And that's why I gotta. Yeah.
Can I shout?
I get that.
Gotta put the brakes on Nick.
Hey,
but yeah,
I got you.
I
Hey.
want soda.
Can I say one thing? I should have started
ahead.
out with this.
Yes.
That I wanted to actually start this whole shit out with a shout out to Sly Jock.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't go there yet because y'all just kicked me off the mic.
Yeah. And I just want to interrupt one more thing. I had came to Pittsburgh as X-Clan, and we performed downtown at this club that was downtown. Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
my first time in
I
the
still
club.
got the
I remember
flyer.
having-
And so the funny thing is, like, after the show, I met Nick Nice back then. Way back then, I met Nick Nice, and I had heard about him. I had even heard some tapes, I think. And when I met him, I was like, so you're Niggity Nick Nice? You're not Niggity Nick Nice. You're Wiggity Nick Nice. But the
Wow,
kid
man.
had the skills that pay the bills.
Yeah.
And I want to say to you that Pittsburgh got two of the dopest white boys on turntables ever, Nick Nice and DJ Selector.
Oh, okay. Nothing wrong with that. So let me pivot here. By the way, I wanted to say I got into a fight at Collins way back in the day, man. My cousin, man, I don't even want to talk about it. Yeah. No. Man. No, it was a mess, man. We got kicked out. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that was one of my Kong stories.
Drag him out of there, black
Yeah. Let me pivot to Soda, man. Soda, please tell me, man, because we got some dancers here in Pittsburgh, and tell me about the early b-boys in Pittsburgh streets.
Well, I started out a rapper first.
Oh,
Okay, in 1979, when the Sugar Hill Gang's Rappers of Light was first released in Pittsburgh. Now, Paradise Gray over here, being from New York, knows deeper the history, but I know in 79 that record was released in Pittsburgh. And that was like the newest thing to us.
I remember.
Talking while music was going right to the beat and rhyming. We couldn't believe what we was hearing when we heard that. And so what we used to do, and this is going to be funny to Paradise Gray, since we couldn't rap, we would sit there and write down everything they were saying, okay? And if you can remember that person's rap word for word, you was considered a good MC in Pittsburgh. So if you can memorize Rappers Delight or Curtis Blow or Count Cool Out or Super Rhymes or any of them guys that came out and you was in a battle at like a basketball game, a high school basketball game, you was hot because you remember that whole rap word for word. But not too long later, cats started writing their own lyrics. Now, I was 16 at the time Rappers Delight came out. And I started a little rap group with my cousin called Rappers Delight. Damn, we was corny. We were corny. But yeah, when I think back, because I can remember dreams I had when I was 3 years old. I can remember, my memory's good. And we get the instrumentals to some of them raps and then write our own lyrics and all of that. And then I started a group called Rap Sensation with just us two. Then I ended up starting a group called, we were called The Specialists. It was three of us. One of the dudes was named Benny Trapp that lived up here in Penn Hills. Okay, later on we became the Schoolboy Clan. There ended up being 5 of us. Okay, so.
Oh, somebody remember the Schoolboy Clan? Okay.
Yeah, there was 5 of us in that crew. And I remember us entering a rap contest over there at, down on the north side. What was the name of that club on the north side? Huh? No, it's right across the bridge, and I just remembered it. 2001. Boom, 2001. Oh, they had a rap contest, and I remember this crooked producer named Hawkeye.
I was getting ready. I was going to talk about Hawkeye.
Boy,
look at everybody.
Hey, listen.
I was going to talk about Hawkeye.
I didn't know how crooked this dude was, bro. He threw this rap contest, and anybody that would win was going to win a record deal. So before we was a Schoolboy Clan, we was the Specialists. There's 3 of us, me, Benny Trapp, and my... I'm too hot.
No. Oh, you good? Go ahead.
Good. So we entered this rap contest, and there was a crew on the north side called... we were the Schoolboys at the time. Now, we was the Specialists at the time. We had the GQ Clan, which was Bip Bop and Hop from the north side. The Crusters Clan.
Crusters Clan, yeah.
Crusters Clan. Now, look, this is what's going to be funny. I talked to Bill. Bill from the Crusters Clan not too long ago. Okay, I remembered his lyrics. I remember his lyrics. But anyway, we entered this, and we messed up. We messed up in that and got booed. I had to go back I went to high school. I went to Westinghouse as a freshman. I ended up finishing at Oliver on the north side, even though I lived in Homewood. I was born and raised in Homewood. So we had messed up. Make a long story short, the GQ Clan won. Well, that's on the north side. They're from the north side. Boom. And Hawkeye had a lot to do with that. As a matter of fact, Hawkeye was trying to spit at my aunt at the time. And I remember telling her, man, don't talk to that clown, man. I was like, if we win, you can holler at my aunt if we win.
Hey, Soda, real quick, Nick wanted to say something.
So let me say something real quick that people have to understand and realize. Of course, we only had one urban radio station back in the day, which that everybody knew of, but that's not correct. I got to tell you about WPTS and Underground Hip Hop Video Magazine. Those were the 2 juggernauts back in that day. Like, if you wanted to know anything about your community, it was them 2. And I was happy to say that when I did start to come on the scene, Kevin showed me so much love because he knew a lot of DJs out there that was...
Was that Kev Huffin Boys? Is that Kev Huffin Boys? They had a group, I remember. No, it wasn't? Okay.
So he gave me so much love because there was a lot of people that didn't want to see me hit the scene. But these guys opened it up. My man, Lord, love you, bro. But we also got to acknowledge 2 females, Jazzy Love and Shauna Ranks.
All right.
Two of the hardest females that hit the burg as well.
We're gonna get. That's gonna be the next show. We got to get the women of song of Pittsburgh. You know, maybe get Phyllis Hyman's people or something. Yeah,
But
we gotta get that.
can I give him what am I looking for?
I want to get
a little
Adam
mystery
on it.
question. Little mystery.
All right.
Can anybody
Okay.
tell me what was the first single printed out of Pittsburgh?
The Real Queen, was it?
No, it was Jazzy Love.
Listen, it was the weakest record that ever rep Pittsburgh and probably made New York think like we're whack.
Well, they
It was-
did anyway. I'm gonna tell you that. But.
It was You Ain't Right, Eddie Murphy by Tyrone Green. Wow. I forgot about that. And God rest in peace, Melly Mel.
What? Eddie Murphy?
Melly Mel. Mel
okay.
Plowden. But yep, You Ain't Right, Eddie Murphy. They're like, man, if that's how Pittsburgh rap, we don't want to talk to them at all.
What year was this, Nick?
Oh, this had to be maybe 85, 86,
Oh
somewhere,
wow. Okay.
87.
So that was a little
When
bit.
did that Jazzy Love drop?
2 years after that.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
when Melly Mel, yep.
All right.
And the real Roxanne was scared of her.
Wow. Okay. Oh, we're gonna get to that story. Man, I want to get to Adam. Go ahead, Paradise.
What's the #1 selling record in the history of Pittsburgh?
Life and Grandma.
The #1 selling record in the history of Pittsburgh.
Black and Yellow.
Nope. Well, nope.
We're talking old school, yeah.
Okay, it actually was the biggest selling record in the world of hip hop for a couple of years.
Oh, you talking about my man from McKeesport?
From
And
McKeesport, yeah.
I got the power. Turbo G from McKeesport.
Okay.
Hey, what was Devron Butler, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
And here's another one for y'all. There's no such thing as the Dr. Dre West Coast sound. The
Oh.
Dr. Dre West Coast sound
All right.
is actually
Hold on.
Pittsburgh
Yeah.
Midwest funk.
And that's a great segue. That's a great segue to Adam, because Adam
Butter.
knows all about this. So Paradise, can you pass that to Adam? I'm sorry to cut you off, but I want to make sure Adam. Adam, I want you to talk about that Pittsburgh West Coast connection.
Oh, I only know the stories that have been passed to me by other folks. I have no direct connection to these things, but from what the general consensus is that everything that you hear from about 92 or 94 or so, yeah, it was all Pittsburgh influenced, Pittsburgh driven sound because of Sam Snead, Butter, Mailman, Scooby-Doo,
Butter.
Butter.
Black Seas.
Black Seas, who had his own single and album out on Lifestyles Records, the people who was funded by Harry O, who supposedly also funded Death Row Records.
Sorry to interrupt, but Black Seas was the first Pittsburgh artist to be signed to a major label.
Right.
And he was the first one to work with the West Coast because his album was produced by Battle Cat. And not only the producers created the West Coast sound, but many rappers were taken from here, and Dre had a room full of rappers and producers from Pittsburgh, including our own Doc Diesel.
Writing for him and stuff like that. So all of these connections go way deeper than the general public knows because, of course, when you see credits, you're seeing who's taking the credit and not necessarily who's doing the work.
Scorching hot, baby.
Yes. So, yeah, there are very deep connections to our city when you hear things on a national level that are supposedly done by the supposed icons of the culture. It's sad that the names that should be going down in history behind a lot of these big records will never be known in association with.
That's okay, though, because we're going to tell the real story.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what's the next question here? This is we trying to get this together though. But Soda, I want to get back to what you were saying, man. About go ahead. I don't want to I'm trying to. It's hard with 7 people, you know. Okay.
So, while we here, because man, I gotta hear some of these stories, but I gotta come back to soda pop because, again, everybody know the story of the business side of Lee and all that stuff, but chasing these dudes around, because I gotta hear the TikToker stuff, man. That's when I came on the scene, started following y'all around, and that's when I ran into Nick at Wilson's. So that was the whole lineage of how I got involved in a lot of stuff was popping and breakdancing, following you. My cousin, the California Kid, Kiki, and all them, and that's how I ran into Nick when he was young, and I was a little kid. Snotty-nosed kid traveling from Braddock to the city. So start with the TikTok.
Well, I was telling my story before I got cut off.
Sorry about that.
I mean, all of this history is great because, as I say, you never stop learning history. We're never too old to learn. Okay, and where I was at, as I was just trying to take y'all, that I've been a part of everything that got to do with hip-hop except for DJing. I've been a graffiti artist. I was a rapper at first, you know what I mean? And all of that. As I said, I started out rapping, so I'm going to fast forward. Okay, how pop locking and all that and roboting and all that got here to Pittsburgh. Because that's the thing that I'm into now. I'm back into pop locking. I've been back into pop locking since 1997. I started learning in 81. Okay, and different guys were moving here, once again, from somewhere else. All right, we had the California Kid come here from Inglewood. We had a guy named Tony come from San Diego. Ed Dickerson came here from Detroit. A guy named Eli Crawford, if you remember him, came here from San Francisco. Now, I was rapping, and then when I started seeing pop locking coming here and waving and all of that, all these different styles, okay? Roboting, for one, has been around forever. Me going into the history of this dance, well, yeah, you could take it, he's one of them, but it goes way before him. The guy that created boogalooing and popping, his name is Sam Solomon, and he's from California. Okay, I went back and asked him, who created the robot? And he says, even I don't know. Now, Sam created boogalooing and popping in 1976. And guys like James Brown and a lot of the tap dancers, like the Nicholas brothers, and all them tap dancers, a lot of them created those steps like the backslide, which they call the moonwalk. It's not called the moonwalk.
Cab Calloway.
Right, that is not called the moonwalk. It's called the backslide. It's called the backslide. I can get into the whole history of that. I know who taught Michael Jackson how to pop lock. I'll tell you who his name is, how long he taught him. A lot of the guys that's responsible for teaching Michael Jackson the backslide.
Tell us.
Jeffrey Daniels from Shalimar's one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Pop Along Kid. Now, if you go on to YouTube and go on his channel, he'll say that he was one of them. But Cooley Jackson is another one that says he taught Mike how to backslide. Okay?
Wait, let me interrupt you just one moment. I know, man. Soda's like, this is a funny story. I was at a restaurant the other day, and I would order some food, and I overheard these folks talking, them folks. And somebody said, oh, you know, Elvis taught Michael Jackson how to dance. Man, I almost fell out of my chair, man. Come on now. I mean, come on.
Elvis didn't even ever learn how to
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't nothing I can't stand but cats that don't know history. Because I've gotten into a whole lot of arguments and fist fights and everything over this dance, dude. I'm deep into it.
Go ahead.
I take it personal.
Yeah.
Especially with hip hop in Pittsburgh, with these new generational rappers that call themselves MCs and knows nothing about hip hop, nothing at all.
Right.
If I asked them before the fifth element came around, the four elements of hip hop, they don't know what it is. And I usually tell these MCs, if you don't know what the elements of hip hop is, why don't you put the mics down? Just put them down. Know the history behind this culture.
Right.
This is how I feel about it. It's personal with me. You know what I mean? But
you gotta love the culture to learn it.
Exactly. But let's get back to the matter at hand. When these guys came here, and I first saw waving, I seen waving first. Now there's a name to all of these styles. Like there's dribbling, foul shooting, passing. There's a name to each one of these styles of the dance called pop locking. Okay. First guy I seen do anything other than robot, because I never learned a robot. Yes, I was watching Soul Train back in '72 when it came out, when it was based in Chicago before it was in Los Angeles.
Oh, I did not know that.
Okay, I was a kid watching it all the time, but I didn't understand when the Lockers and all them guys was out there, and that was Don Campbell-Lot Campbell. Don Campbell-Lot Todd rerun, which his name was Fred Berry, the Penguin, the Penguin, Shabba-Doo and all of them. I was watching him as a kid, but I didn't understand what I was watching. But I watched it anyway. I like what I was seeing.
Right.
Okay, so I should have learned roboting and popping, and locking first, which seeing Michael Jackson do the robot when he was doing Dance Machine on American Bandstand. Oh. You know what I mean? So I passed over that waving. I was like in middle school when waving came along. I was playing Ozanam basketball over at Rosenstein.
Right.
And the rap group I was in, the Schoolboys, I still was rapping. Benny, the leader of the Schoolboys, said, "Hey, man, there's this dude that comes back and forth from Detroit in the summer. I want you to see him dance." He brought him down to basketball court. Okay? And he was doing this thing called waving, which I thought looked gay. Because I'm looking at him, this is waving. This stuff is called waving, this stuff here. I'm watching this dude wave, and I was like, that don't look right.
Yeah, disclaimer, back then.
Yeah, he had a jerry curl. Pittsburgh did not have jerry curls at the time. We are slow. We're slow. Been slow. That makes me upset too, that we're so darn slow. But anyway, he had a jerry curl and all of that. Yeah. Okay, so
Nick talking trash.
I'm watching this dude dance, and I went right back to playing basketball. So I don't understand what the hell he's doing.
Right.
But then, within weeks later, I started meeting these other guys. California Kid, Eli Crawford. He came here doing something called the Chinese Robot, so I'm watching him. Then the next dude I met, he was on the north side. That was Kiki. My cousin introduced me to him. He's like, "Oh, that's my man Kiki watching dance." He had this big afro. I was like, "They still wearing afros? We don't wear afros no more." You know what I mean? I'm watching him dance. And then I started to realize, I was like, how is all these other states doing this dance that we don't do? I watched him, still wasn't interested in it.
Right.
Okay? And then the next thing school came back. So now I'm going to Oliver High School. I'm in the 10th grade now. Still a rapper. Talent show came along. So I'm there to rap, had my 12-inch single that I was going to rap to. And these two dudes was up on stage, Damian Watson and Robert Carpenter from the north side. This guy named Byron, they told me, an older guy that moved here from California who I never met, had taught these guys. It's calling it the moonwalk. Here we go, wrong name. So they're up on stage. They put on Genius of Love by the Tom Tom Club.
Yeah.
And these dudes were up there, and they're sliding around, backsliding, doing all these slides and floats. And I saw the female. I was like, "Oh, look at that. They look so cute." And I was like, I want to learn that. I want to learn that dance. You know what I mean? Because I seen the attention. I was like, I'm going to learn that no matter what it takes. I remember going up to them and asking me, "Hey, man, teach me that." They took me over to their house, put on some strobe lights, and they didn't want teaching me nothing. They're just dancing. Conversation started between them. They was talking about this crew called the Close Encounters, which was based in Wilkinsburg.
Right.
I'm right in Homewood. I was talking about Eli Crawford was a part of them, a kid called Beretta Bay, who they called the Puppet, and Snake, Leon Sibley, they called him Snake. They was talking about how good this group was, and they had won this contest, and they were just talking about them. And I was like, especially Snake. I was like, where these guys stay at? He was like, "Brown, where you live at in Wilkinsburg?" 3 days after school, I'm walking around Wilkinsburg looking for these. I'm asking everybody, "Hey, you know some dude named Snake? You know some dude named Snake? You know these guys?"
Right.
The third day, I found out who they were. A kid was like, "I know them. They go to school with me." California Kid. I walked around the north side looking for him because he didn't go back to California yet. All right, it took me 3 days to find him. By the time I found him, he was going back to California the next day. So I was like, I want to learn. He's like, "I'm going back to California." This dude running around chasing females. He's always been like that. He's still like that to this day. Okay, so I go over there, and this guy said, Close Encounters practices every Thursday at this house. I was like, take me to it. It was Thursday. Coincidence. He take me to this house. They show up. They come in. It was an empty living room. They put on Numbers. Remember Number Kraftwerk?
Yeah.
And what I saw, I was like, I felt like a cheerleader with pom-poms that day, bro. These dudes, Snake, when it got to him, this dude was sickening. He would backslide across carpet like it was ice. He could backslide with his legs crisscrossed. This dude, he was the first one I ever seen pop and wave and puppet. He taught Beretta how to puppet. And when he got done, I was like, dude, I literally begged him to teach me. I pretty much went through hell to learn how to dance. That's why I don't take criticism or hating, I don't take it too lightly to this day of what I went through to learn how to dance, because it took me a year to even figure out what the hell was going on in learning.
We're going to get a sample.
Right, so...
Well, hold on, wait, right now.
let me tell you something. Leon, I ended up learning some from him. I ended up learning some from him, but I pretty much had to pay him while I watched him teach everybody else free. You know what I mean? If a dude had a hot sister, he was going to teach you for free, staring at the sister. You know what I mean? Like the first kid I know that he taught was Romy Morris. Any of y'all remember Romy Morris from Homewood? He was one of the first dudes he started teaching, because he taught quite a few cats how to dance before I did.
Okay.
But me, I'm letting him borrow my clothes. I was letting him borrow my clothes. He was spending the night to eat. He was always hungry, spending nights over the house, paying his way on the bus in order to learn how to dance, and really didn't feel that I learned as much as I thought that I could. But I ended up picking it up. I hung around him long enough until I was able to pick it up.
All right. So hold on. So I hate to, but we're gonna come back to that.
Okay.
Though. Yeah, but I definitely want to get back to that. But I will give other people a little chance to talk here. I want to hear more about Hawkeye, though, man. Lee, go ahead. Yeah, because he's a notorious dude.
You probably know him. Good.
Well, here's the thing, man. Again, I'm connected to everybody up here before they was even connected to each other. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about Hawkeye, he was one of the first guys to understand how to get money off the culture. Now, albeit, like you said, he was shiesty and all that stuff, but he used our culture to work his way up to, at a certain point, he was bringing like Ben Vereen and like the biggest names in black culture, he was bringing them. And then his adversary became the Caesar Engler. They was battling back and forth at one time. But Hawkeye, he was the model for if you wanted to learn how to do the promotion game and all that stuff. So you had Hawkeye, but then, later on, and we know Chuck Sanders got into the game. And then there was a few of us that came. Yeah, everybody came after Hawkeye really, though. But he set the standard. But a lot of us, we did it the right way. Of course, as we was younger, especially me being a little kid, just seeing these shows, I had to stand outside. I couldn't even get in. But I knew in my mind that I couldn't rap. I became a hip-hop dancer because I followed the robotic TikTokers. And the reason why I really followed them after I learned how to dance and all that stuff is because they was the first ones to get money. And so if you know anything about me, I was always about the money part of it. And y'all guys was traveling all over the world.
Entertainers was doing the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't follow them as much as I followed y'all because I had the connection to Kiki. And then seeing you in the hood and all that, and then Larry Ellis, everybody was doing something.
Hawkeye managed Larry Ellis.
Because he was doing Michael Jackson. Right. So that's how, and I can go on about that, but I don't want to talk, because rest in peace, Hawkeye.
We don't want.
Recently that I was asking about.
Yeah, I don't want to, like.
Doing a documentary, and they doing some stuff about him, so I'm going to let that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
You had to start somewhere.
Right.
So, I'm going to do another pivot real quick.
In case you need.
Nick, the two DJs on the end. I was watching an interview with Jazzy Jeff. Yeah, Jazzy Jeff. And Jazzy Jeff and Jay Dilla, shout out, rest in peace, Jay Dilla, used to come to Pittsburgh a lot to go to, was it Stedford's? No. They still do? No, what's the one that was in Oakland? Jerry's. My brother, Jerry's.
Yep.
He said, yeah, well, obviously Jay Dilla don't come up there, but can you talk a little bit about diving for the vinyl? Digging,
All
yeah.
right, so yeah, so it's an entire culture, and it's not just DJs. It's definitely producers. So,
Oh, okay.
of course, back in the day, we had Stediford. Stediford's was paramount on the north side, right? Jerry's started over in Oakland, above where the Kinko's is.
Yeah, I remember going, and my brother used
Okay.
to take me there. Yeah.
Dead across the street was Collector's 12-inch. Shouts out and rest in peace to Wayne.
Yep.
That was another record store. Music Man as well. Then, of course, Dorsey's, Homewood.
Oh, yep.
Okay? So what ended up happening is the short version of it is Jerry ran out of space in Oakland, so he bought the bigger space in Squirrel Hill and moved the store to where it is now. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
Hold up. I ain't
that's
get that far yet, Nick. I ain't get that far yet. You know what I'm saying? So, because the attic actually moved to quite a few places. The attic was in the back of Oakland by I forget the street that heads to the Parkway, and it was in a slanted building. It was in the back of Oakland. The attic started out there before they went to Millville and got this enormous space that they're currently in now. However, to your question, to your immediate question, they still come here. What they do is they come very nondescript, only their people know that they're here. So they'll they drive. It's not either, they drive.
Yeah, because Jazzy Jeff said him and Dilla, well, he's in Detroit, he was in Philly, so this is the midpoint.
Let's just go ahead and let's bypass Jeff for a second.
Okay.
Diamond D's here on a regular basis.
Yep.
Large Professor's here on a regular basis.
Wow.
Premier is here on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Pete Rock at a point was sending somebody for him to come here.
Yep.
So they come, a lot of the places like Pittsburgh is an international stop for record digging.
Ninth Wonder, wow.
You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying? I didn't say, like I said, it is. It's still. It's not was. It is. They travel from all over the world to come here.
Wait, can somebody give Paradise that mic, please?
Yeah, he got it.
And it still is. I used to come to Pittsburgh and dig for beats at Stediford's, and now I live like 4 doors down from where Stediford's used to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, like you said, they still come to Pittsburgh. I had a DJ from the UK here last week, my man Barry. He stayed in Pittsburgh a whole week, and every day he's supposed to be rocking with me. He's in the record stores in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh still has a lot of vinyl stores that people go to dig for. Pittsburgh is digger's delight.
Exactly. 'Cause
Wow.
literally, we have something they just really don't have across the country, and we have a lot of.
That's because the
vinyl
other
stores.
cities, people know what it is and they buy it up.
Right.
Wow.
And another gem, and I could put this out there to a degree. There's another spot where it's very exclusive that a lot of DJs have been hearing murmurs around the world that they're trying to get to. Now, I shop there first. It's Jerry's Warehouse. So Jerry's Warehouse, the short version of it and the punchline is it was his own personal stash that as his health started to deteriorate, he wanted to start unloading and share the music with the world. While I go to his warehouse, now it's ran by his son. And there's select hours, they're early hours.
Is that up on, is it North Hills or something?
No, Swissville.
Night? Okay.
It's in the back of
okay.
Swissville. So it's like literally, I want to say it's like Thursday through Saturday, like 10 or 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. But it's only those 3 days, only those hours. And it's stuff that you wouldn't find necessarily in the record store. So I shop there. Like I said, I shop there first. And I have DJs from around the world saying, well, look, I want to come to Pittsburgh. I want to go to this spot because it's not like it's not a storefront. It's a warehouse. It's 100% a warehouse. And it has.
It's the Home Depot records.
Yes,
Home Depot, okay.
yes, it's definitely a Home Depot of records. So digging in Pittsburgh is paramount. It's worldwide. It's known. And you'll have whoever your favorite producers are, even if they don't sample, they'll come here and buy records and leave. They may or may not stay the night, but you'll never know that they were here unless you came across them.
Right, man. If I would known Premier was here, man. I heard he's a big Steeler fan, by the way.
And
Um,
how about this for Pittsburgh hip hop history? Biz Markie used to come here and dig for his records all the time too, because his cousin is Chuck Sanders. Him and Biz Markie and Cool V are first cousins with Chuck Sanders, and Biz Markie put Chuck Sanders through college.
wow. I did not
That's why
know
him
that.
and Cool V was downtown in the Strip District DJing every New Year's.
Wow. I did not know that at all.
It was definitely on Broadway.
Yeah.
I think it was like,
Go ahead.
but it was definitely on the Broadway side.
I was going to say, Biz also, people don't know that he was was he adopted or he was
He was adopted.
Yeah, exactly, because my uncle married his sister, and I didn't know he was adopted, and so his sister married a Pittsburgh guy, and she was telling us the story, and I was like, what, Biz? And I was like, man, but he had to come up, he had a great story too. I don't know if somebody will tell the story. I seen the documentary, but I don't
Yes.
think they put all that in there though.
Not the Pittsburgh part,
Right.
but RZA also has ties to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I knew
RZA
that.
his father had a shoe store in the hills.
Somebody give Paradise that. Mike.
Yeah. The RZA's that's okay. The RZA's father had a shoe store in the hill, from Wu-Tang at one time, and another connection is Buffy, the human beatbox from the Fat Boys, had a baby with a girl from the hill, so he used to be here all the time too.
I think we all did.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I just like to say rest in peace to my man Slim Capone,
Yeah.
All Whitey Records, and also
Yeah.
rest in peace to what's baby girl name, man? Nina Ross.
Yes.
Rest in peace to Nina Ross, Almighty Northside.
Wow. All right. So, yeah, I did not know that, man. People come here. I knew, when I seen that video of them doing that interview, so I was like, oh, they came from Pittsburgh. They come in undercover, they gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Adam, I want to hear more about the video jukebox. Like, let me tell you, when we were, it was the late 80s, early 90s, me and my brothers and sisters, we would, well, not me, but my younger brother and sister would be ordering music because for those who don't know, on the box, man. And,
not that box.
oh, not that box?
No.
Oh, well, go ahead and explain that to. Yeah, let Adam tell it.
Okay, so there are two boxes that we were inspired by. One was Ralph McDaniel's video music box out of New York, which was a street level show that supported local
This is information for me.
hip-hop.
Yeah.
History.
And also is a giant part of New York's hip hop culture, and the vibe of it was so ingrained in the community that is the thing I love the most about it. Then there's a gentleman here named Khalid who had a television show that was all community events where you would just turn on Channel 21 and you would see him at a cookout or a hoop game or something that's in the hood. And it just spoke to me how he was taking our images and casting them to TV. So the idea for the underground thing comes from the inspiration of Ralph McDaniels and seeing the uncensored, or not uncensored, but seeing the grimy, low-budget videos on Video Jukebox, where, as you referred to, you would call an 800 number, punch a 3-digit code in, the video would pop on your screen, and they would charge you $2.50 on your phone bill for that video that you just.
And that's when my dad was like, who the hell I'm not buying?
So many households were having "Who watched Luke's 2 Live Cruise Me So Horny" video 50 times in a row. Your teenage son just watched Luke's Me So Horny video 50 times in a row and charged your phone 50 times in a row. But the thing that spoke to us mostly, besides the proliferation of Southern, what was called booty shaking videos at the time, was Scarface's "A Minute to Pray, a Second to Die." This video was getting so much run on the Video Jukebox, and me and my producer had never seen it before. BET was running hip-hop videos on their Rap City or whatever, But that's when we realized how skewed what we were actually getting compared to what the people who were making these shows got to review. So fast forward years later, we're on a Monday. The gentleman involved with my organization would show up at my studio and watch 20, 30 videos. If the general consensus in the room was these 12 videos was cool, those are the 12 videos you're going to see on our episode that week. So anytime you're watching our show, you're seeing a collaborative vision insofar as this is not just necessarily what I like. It's what my man likes. It's what my man likes. It's what my man. It's the people whose opinions I trust, who work in my hip hop studio. Otherwise, when we're not doing Underground Hip Hop Video Magazine, who bring a wealth of experience from radio, who bring a wealth of national experience from the industry, who just the people, the collaborative effort in that allowed us to make each show. Didn't have to be catered to one individual person because it's catered to all y'all because 13 people, 9 people came together and watched these 30 videos and picked those 12 videos. So though we're inspired by Ralph and though we're inspired by Video Jukebox, our ability to use that as a platform to bring awareness to the culture in general, then on a second level bring awareness to our treasured local hip-hop artists who don't have a video, who don't have representation, who just got a CD. I'm Smash Money from Homewood. I got By the Time I'm 21 on a cassette. Well, nigga, bring that cassette on my show. We're going to treat you like the Wu-Tang Clan. We're going to treat you like Jay-Z.
Yes.
Everybody going to know that you got a cassette. It's By the Time I'm 21. So when people talk about our program, there's a lot of focus on nudity, marijuana use, profanity, lots of drinking, all of those things, bro. But our untold story is our community service, is our Safe Sex Stop the Violence campaigns, is our canned food drives.
Yeah, food drives.
Bro, these guys were unifying the city during a time that people were shooting at each other. They got the head rapper from this hood and the head rapper from this hood who can't even walk in each other's hoods on the air with them, treating them like Wu-Tang, treating them like Jay-Z, giving the same respect. Next thing you know, 150,000 households are also giving them that same respect because they've seen my guys do the way they do. So that's the result of my program. Being able to play an underground, uncensored video, cool. That kept a lot of people locked in. I'm most proud of the effect we were able to have on the culture through our community service.
Hold on, here goes. Dion wants to say something
go ahead.
about that.
So, like I said in the beginning, man, I probably shouldn't be up here as a panelist because I'm a byproduct of what these folks were able to do. So I'm gonna walk you through a little journey and go through like how crazy this is, what 6 degrees of separation from me, to these fellas that's up here on this panel. So my mom is sitting right here. I drug her out to come hang with me today, right? And so, I grew up in Homewood. And, so in 89, 90, I was only 14 years old. But I had a lot of freedom at 14 years old. I had a lot of ability to be able to, kind of navigate how I seen fit. I was an athlete, so my mom had me involved in sports and stuff like that. So between playing baseball on the hill, football on the Homewood, basketball for the AAU and community teams, going all over the city, I was pretty much everywhere. And so I would watch PCTV, and I would watch underground hip hop, and I would see different people, that I knew was making music videos, and of course the national artists and things of that nature. And so it influenced me to want to get into music. So I got the drum machine, had my friends come over, they start making beats and stuff like that there. Now mind you, I'm only 14, 15 years old. Didn't know nothing about rapping, but I had other people around that was rapping and stuff like that. So, being influenced by what I seen on TV. And I put my mom on the rap, right? So she became the hip-hop granny. I guarantee you my mom knows more hip-hop songs than anybody 60 years or older. To this day, I can ride with her, and she's going to tell. She put me on the Migos stir fry. Remember that mom? We was right. It's like, oh, that's Migo stir fry. I said, what's this? Love stir fry. So, but it started with NWA, right? So she was listening to me listen to NWA, and she, what are you listening to? Da, 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 whatever. And she said, oh, that's that group that sings Strawberry. And Strawberry, everybody knows Strawberry is the neighborhood. So we having conversations about that or whatever the case may be. And she's like, I'm schooling her like, Mom, it ain't just about the language. It's that they're speaking, about the culture. They're speaking about what's going on, whatever the case may be. So we were able to get into really intelligent conversations about the music and the content and things of that nature. So fast forward 2 or 3 years later, we hear about these parties on Sundays, right? Out at Kong. And so, we young, we don't really got access to vehicles, so we get people to rent us U-Hauls. So they would rent us U-Hauls. We'd pack up in the back of the van, the U-Haul van, and go pull out up at Kong. Hop right out the van and go straight in. It was the under 21 nights. And so, of course, feet's walking around, with the glow, got the Versace on, looking all like, and we in there tearing shit up. We partying the whole nine, and having a great time. And so I would say like every so often, Pitt would have their union parties, and they would have their sorority and fraternity parties and things of that nature. Now, mind you, we still under 21. So we would go to the Pitt parties, and lo and behold, Black Steel is down there DJing the Pitt parties that we done seen him on TV from the underground hip hop. Now we in his presence listening to him DJ. Like it was just amazing. So we're still, and again, I'm only like 16, 17 at the time. So we turning up, having a good time. I'm coming out with like 20, 30 people.
I didn't know these dudes was that young.
We was coming deep. We would come like 15, 20 deep in the U-Haul van. Somebody would go rent the U-Haul van, and somebody knew how to drive, and the rest of us was piled up in that back. like we was some doggone being trafficked or something. But we was making the moves. And so, that's kind of how it influenced me. So when I started rapping and started putting some stuff down, I was working with a group, and they ended up putting me in the studio with Nick Nice. And so I went over and met Nick and he was doing it strictly for the streets at the time. And so I went over in the studio, we went over and recorded, and I wasn't on my game. I wasn't on my A game, but Nick worked me through that, and I ended up getting a record on his Strictly for the Streets. And so fast forward and I probably was maybe like 19, 20 at that time. But once I turned 21, we was out every weekend. So we was everywhere. And so, again, me not realizing at that time that these were the individuals who were instrumental in that space. Paradise was living in Wilkinsburg at the time. And I was in the process of making a record, and we had to go to Paradise's studio to record. And I went over and met Brother Paradise, and I didn't record at that particular time, but I happened to come across Paradise while he was in the studio, and, again, not realizing the influence that these people had, and me just kind of ending up in their space. And how this all comes full circle is, and then let me take y'all back to Soda Pop. Soda Pop used to cut my hair when I was a kid. So when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, my mama sent me up to the barbershop, and he was the only person I knew that was able to put the cool designs in my head. So in the back of my head, I would get Nefertiti, or I would get a checkerboard, or I'd get the little African sign, and he would design all that right in the back of my head. And so...
Hold on, D, real quick. Soda Pop gave me my first fade in a tail. I had a tail.
So.
Yo, hold on. Wait until I tell you the story of how I met Nick Nice. But go ahead.
I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm not gonna be too much longer. But as I evolved as a creative in the Pittsburgh music scene, I ended up becoming more on the business side and working in business spaces. And so Nick was the person who gave me the opportunity to come on board on the business end and be the president of Nick Nice Productions. And so me being responsible for booking him and taking care of his paperwork and his contracts and working with his whole network in the private sector made me realize like, oh shoot, I need if I'm going to be representing his brand, I need to be on point myself. So I started Grind Mode Management as a legit business as a result of Nick and being influenced by the culture and the love of music from all the infrastructure that these guys built. But it started with watching video, hip hop video magazine, on PCTV, as well as listening to the music. But then to be able to come into space and be able to build Grind Mode Radio Live, where his brother Gaylord able to come down and do an interview down there, and being able to put media out there and create spaces for creators to be able to continue to build and tell their story and create and have an audience is super dope. So I just want to thank you all for inspiring me and giving me opportunities to, grow as a man and as a creative in this space. And for those of you who are in music and involved in the hip hop culture here, like without them, without this panel up here, man, it wouldn't be anything. So this was great, brother.
Yo, man, you wasn't that kid that got mad at me at Ways, was you?
Nah, you know what?
I was cutting this kid's hair, and he got mad at me and wouldn't let me cut his hair no more because I said he wasn't going to get nothing for Christmas.
That wasn't me. I wasn't a very emotional person, man. I was angry, but I wasn't emotional.
Dion, let me ask this. Man, this is a real quick sidebar. This made me think about it. Who were the best barbers who could cut like all the designs, man? Who do you think?
He was one of the first.
Soda?
That's fine.
Well, there was other good barbers. I wasn't the best out there. There was guys I looked up to like Ed Bell, who worked at Jan's. If y'all knew who Ed Bell was. There was certain guys that I looked up to, Ron Scott, you know what I mean, before I got any good in cutting hair.
Let me just say, Soda was thorough, but you was going to be there for a couple hours. Let me just say that.
Because I was a perfectionist.
No, not only a perfectionist, but like the movies, Barbershop. They got to stop. We got to ad lib. We got to rip. So if I sat in a chair at 1 o'clock, I literally got out at 4:30, where I can go to the white barber in 10 minutes, and I'm done. But he was the man, though. He was the man. He's still the man.
Art to that patience.
So let me bring it back around. Yeah, hold on. We're going to get to that.
That's Soda Pop.
We got to get to history first.
Right.
I still got more history behind this thing.
Right. Because I definitely wanted to tell the story about how he met Nick. But since we giving everybody their flowers, because everybody, again, lent to me being the person I am today in the business world. Because when I started my label, first of all, it was Rico Tyler and what's his name from Wilkinsburg had a label. It was called Fat Crayon Records. Yeah.
I can't remember that because it was a rap group in Wilkinsburg that was good too. They came out with a record.
Well, before that, and I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but they had Pencils in a Cup, which was Ime and Akil, exactly. And so I was trying to be down with the label, and they treated me like a wet food stamp. So that was the motivation for me to start the label that I started. And then while I was doing that and trying to build it, and I'm following, and at the time, Dice, you'll appreciate this. Uptown Records was like, was the label that we all kind of looked at because they had the money, they had all that stuff that we wanted to be. Yep. Harrell had it, but my homegirl helped them create the label from Aliquippa, and peace to Sybil Penix. People don't know that. Yeah. So Sybil founded, Soul for Real, Mary J, and Puffy worked for her at first.
Right, and he found Father MC.
Exactly, Father MC, all of them.
Exactly. Yep. It was background singers from Mary J.
Right. Well, the person that helped start the whole label with Andre Harrell's from Aliquippa, Sybil Penix. She went to Pitt. And so she moved to New York early. And so that was my kind of like, all right, part of the business. She would tell me about certain things. But while I was trying to brand myself and get this label off the ground, I couldn't get an interview to save my life. But Adam gave me my first interview for Underground Hip Hop Video. And once he gave me that interview, man, that opened the doors, and then Nick Nice and the No Sleep crew with Marlon and all them, man, they got behind the label so heavy, and then I was able to get the contract to do the intros for y'all. So every day when the radio came on for all the DJs, you heard my label name and all my artists doing the rap, the intros for all the DJs. And then Ron Atkins gave me the push to get in with all the labels to do all the promotion and marketing for some of the artists that was coming to Pittsburgh. And then he opened the door for all the DJs nationally for me to start doing promo for different artists that was on the national level. And so that's what started me in this whole business. And then that opened the doors to real estate and all these other things that I got into. But if it wasn't for you and the Kingsley Center and then Steve Chapman giving me a chance to use the Kingsley and do the A&R work for my artists. So everybody here played a part in me being able to do the business that I got into on a national level. So I just want to make sure I give y'all all y'all flowers from me and say thank y'all. Because, Black Steel and 90, man, the radio stations, but y'all was allowing me to feed my family to this day because some of those records that I didn't know nothing about points until Ron told me about it, and I was able to do some business and get points on records that still pay me to this day. And so for y'all to be able to help me feed my family, man, I'm appreciative of that, and I never forgot it. And anytime I tell these stories, I always mention y'all in the stories, no matter which city that I'm in. And so for Dice to come to Pittsburgh and be with Black Caesar, because me and Cease grew up with each other in Brady. And a lot of people don't know that first album that Cease did, and you're absolutely right, Adam, the money, part of it came from Harry O., who was in the jail at the time. He just got out after doing 30-something years. Yep. And Jimmy Iovine, that everybody know, that's where Jimmy Iovine started off that first Black Caesar album. And then it just went from there with Death Row and all that stuff. But, yeah, we got a lot of history here.
And I was the one that interviewed you for that interview, by the way.
Right.
There's a receipt for that.
Go. Rest in peace to Mac Miller.
Yes.
And Wapo.
Hey, Adam, real quick, I want you to talk about that banner because I got the idea of you all signing my painting back there. That's supposed to be Vitruvian Man by Da Vinci, but I did the hip hop, all the elements. You got the graffiti on the sides, and they're on that microphone. The break dancer, the DJ, and the MC. But Adam has a banner that every artist who came into town. Can you just quick, or much time as you want, talk about that banner? I mean, that thing is historic.
Sure. We had two gentlemen that started the program as the original hosts of the program, Lucky Williams and Dice, who are in the back right there.
Are they in the house?
I owe a giant debt of gratitude for
Hey, can y'all just walk up here and just, if you don't mind?
So these gentlemen helped me flesh out my vision by sitting there and doing about 100 bloopers for this first episode of this show with a name that's so long that no one could remember how to say it. So they're up there trying to say Underground Hip Hop Video Magazine for the first time, and I'm not lying when I say over 100 bloopers. So these gentlemen, they're also...
I know I couldn't get it right in my first
Yes, sir. They're also immortalized on our banner. This dog and the wolf are representations of Dice and Lucky, who are original hosts on the show. So I procured...
Get you on the next show.
8 foot by 8 foot tablecloth from my job. The whole time we were doing the Underground Hip Hop Video Magazine, I was a janitor at Duquesne University, be cleaning the toilet in the daytime, on stage with Wu-Tang Clan that night, back to scrubbing the toilet the next morning, telling somebody about the Wu-Tang. They say, I ain't never met them. You Wu-Tang your ass into that alley or into that hallway and clean up that vomit. And then 2 weeks later, I got Giant Eagle pictures, and that was my receipts. But could not show receipts on the spot because there wasn't no phones like that. So we would have to wait for our hip-hop stories to be substantiated 2 weeks later by our Giant Eagle pictures. So in the meantime, we're paying the bills to do all of this stuff. So we're getting whatever we can get for free. I got a tablecloth for free, had a gentleman put graffiti versions of my two hosts and our logo on the cloth, and then Simply E, who had a song called Play My Funk back in the day, came to my house for an interview. All of my interview stories, I'm going to say my house because the set of my program was my living room. So if you came on my program, you're in my living room. So when you see Method Man, you see Wu-Tang, you see people on the show with the banner behind them, with him standing next there talking to them, they're in my living room. So Simply E came, and we're like, why don't you sign that? She signs it. That's the first signature we ever got on there. Since then, we've got everyone from Questlove and Black Thought from The Roots, Phife Dawg from Tribe Called Quest, rest in peace. Prodigy from Mobb Deep, rest in peace. Most of the Wu-Tang Clan, Jadakiss, the other Lox members, and equally as important, the Pittsburgh hip-hop icons who have come in contact with us have also blessed us with their signatures on the program, on the banner. Now, years later, there's hardly anywhere to sign, and the golden age of hip-hop is well represented from coast to coast.
Man,
with these signatures.
That thing is worth some money. Let's give a hand. That's pretty amazing. So I want to pivot right now. I know it. Man, this is great. Everybody got stories, and I'm loving it. But I want to pivot. I have to talk about radio stations. And Whammo. For all y'all, the young people who see this on YouTube, back in the day, there was no iTunes. There was it was, if you wanted to see your favorite, you had to watch Adam on PCTV, or you wanted to hear music on Whammo. And let's be clear, because me and Adam talk about this.
Or Adam on PTS.
Yeah. Whammo wasn't really playing, and I want to hear from all of y'all on that. Whammo wasn't really down with the hip-hop scene, especially after the infamous Fresh Fest. I think the second one. All right, yeah. So I know some of y'all, you were there breaking windows and everything through downtown. Paradise. Was Fresh Fest, that was the first, that was the second one, but that was the first, yeah, but that was the first hip-hop concert series in the okay. But go ahead, let's talk about both of the Fresh Fest.
And Pittsburgh was the second Fresh Fest riot.
Right.
The first one was in Long Beach. Everybody thought that Run DMC started it because it was a Run DMC concert, but Houdini was on stage when the riot broke out. But anyway, yes. If y'all see the Freaks Come Out at Night video that Houdini did, that was filmed at the Civic Arena during the Fresh Fest. And if you look closely, you'll see a young Jermaine Dupri with a white glove on breakdancing, looking like a gremlin.
Yeah, I was at that concert. I was at that concert, man. And what happened was after the concert, everybody was breaking in stores downtown and running up in there and stealing clothes and jewelry and all of that. And the mayor at the time, yeah, he's the reason why us TikTokers was getting paid. He was the reason why he got us summer jobs to break at Parks and Recreation. Oh, okay. He signed a contract through our manager. Speaking to him, but let's go back to that. They stopped rap on radio because of that. You know what I mean? And now we had to just go to the record stores to find out what new records was coming out, because Sly Jock would play all the new stuff at the time.
You had to wait till late at night to hear it.
Right, exactly. Right. You know what I mean? I remember when after a little while, some months, they played some rap stuff on Whammo and thought they was giving us a treat. Like they was taking us off of punishment or something. You know what I mean? And stuff like that, man. So that's when that happened. And I was at that concert with Houdini and Run DMC, and then was there at that Fresh Fest. I was there.
Another Pittsburgh historical fact. Whammo was the first black radio station in America. And Whammo stands for We Are Moving On.
Yeah. Yo, I'm going to ask my brother down there in the end with the glasses. Was you a DJ, the DJ for Pitt University?
Yes.
Were you the one that interviewed us when Tuffy and us was on there? Was that you?
No.
Okay, there was another guy there. I think it might have been before you or after you.
I can guarantee it was probably before me. It was
Okay.
before me because
Remember Nick? He had us on there.
from 90 to 99, that's mine.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely before. But I'm gonna let Nick touch on the Whammo thing first, and then I'm gonna follow him.
Okay, first you got to remember, we all back then didn't know or realize which was considered rap now, or they call rap, which is hip hop, turned into $1 billion business.
Right.
So did any of us have a clue? Again, I started May of 1992. I was in the streets heavy for about 10 years, so anything black promoted, I was that DJ, along with Black Steel and Melly Mel at the time. So people are so fast sometimes to dog Whammo out, but at the same time, it's tuned in on their radio. You know what I mean? This is way before the satellite and everything hit. Actually, Black Steel and Sandman, they got the head start of which Whammo had no choice but to turn to, because they had to relate to the streets. And I think that's why my show was so successful, because it was called Strictly for the Streets. And I was the first DJ on Whammo to rock that local music like that. They hated me, but at the same time, they loved me because the ratings was through the roof. And that's what it's about. So, and at the time, again, I didn't know the business. I was just happy to be on the radio. They would tell me all the numbers from 6 to midnight. I was on 10 to 12. They could have gave me my numbers from 10 to 12. If I'd have known the business back then, not only would I be getting paid hourly, you would probably pay me a couple thousand to do our shows because of all the attention that we brought in our city. Yeah, the advertising dollars. Now, what made me popular fast was playing all the local rappers, giving them an opportunity to do an intro. I got it on the phone right here with my man Pretty Feats. I got all my intros on my phone. You will laugh. But it was the hardest thing. So I gave them all the opportunity to shine, and I made sure that every rapper that did an intro for me, give yourself your recognition, say who you are, and let the beat play for another minute so I can come back on after that and give them props. But the very first intro that I've got, my man Infinite came to me. I know you all know Infinite.
I know him. Yep.
So he came to me and said, man, can we do an intro for your show? Off the chain. But to give you an example, what that meant to the community, I don't think I could go anywhere. I had a pass everywhere because I showed everybody love. That's the kind of guy I've always been. If Sandman was the dopest rapper out, and I'd be like, yo, when am I going to get that intro? I got you, nice, I got you, I'm going to get it. Never gets it to me. Black Steel over here don't even have half the skills that Adam got, or Sandman. But he gave it to me, and I played it. That's what it was all about, opening that window up and giving everybody the opportunity. And you all know, because even you, Paradise, everybody comes up to you, they want to say how thorough they are, what I got. I don't need 2 hours of that. Give me your product. Product speaks for itself.
Right.
At all times. And look at some of the guys that I had that did intros. F3 was very, very popular in Pittsburgh. Pretty Feats, Mailman, Fierce. Yep, Fierce, Mailman. I got some intros. I don't even remember meeting them. I got one from Vanessa and it's off the chain, but I can't remember who it was. You know what I mean? It was Lady something. I thought it was.
See, you're jumping the gun, man. I was going to ask a question.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
I'm sorry.
That was my.
Oh, who were some of the people?
Yeah, who were the?
Let me just say.
Go ahead. Just finish with Whammo, though.
All right. So before that, to answer that question, just about every rapper that was in every community did, even as far as some of y'all probably don't even remember Fab and Honey in Duquesne. You know what I mean?
Valley again, man.
So, but the whammo thing where I'm getting at is, at the same time, everybody's so fast to dog them out. That's all we had at that time. You know what I mean? And before they sold, the biggest mistake they made was sold to 105.9.
Yes.
That was the biggest mistake that they ever did.
Yep.
But and then I'm gonna turn it over to somebody else. But where people have to understand the business, I'm out to this day. Whammo, what's up with Whammo? All they do is play the same stuff every time, every hour. Let me tell you something. Go into a market that has 4 black radio stations. You think you got tired of hearing that song? Because they're all competing with each other now. So you're going to hear it 3 times an hour opposed to every hour that you hear it on Whammo. And see, what people don't understand, the record labels, that's how we eat. That's how we get our money. When you won that little vacation to the Bahamas, that's because Universal just paid for it, because we got to play their song 43 times a week, heavy rotation. See, there's a lot of things, but that's another story. We'll get to that. But don't be so fast to dog out something that Whammo was huge. I mean, when I say, where were we in the market at the time when we went 105.9?
Number 2 behind KDKA.
No, I'm saying like on a
National level.
on a national level. We were like 12th or something.
Yeah, we were in the top 20.
Yeah, we were definitely in the top 20. And I'm gonna turn it over. When I first started Strictly for the Streets, I got paid. I started out at $25 an hour. I only worked 2 hours a week. So after I got my check, I might have got $48 or something. But we were in the Chamber of Commerce building, 14th floor. I just started Whammo, and we went from a 5'9" to a 6'2". I got a $500 bonus. My bonus was bigger than what I made almost for the whole half a year at Whammo. So Whammo, listen, you got to give props to the Davenports at some point. They made one of the biggest mistakes by selling it. You know what I mean? But
Well, to add to Nick's point, that's why I think it's very key and critical that we understand the business of this game that we call music. Because even though the Davenports at one point was one of the wealthiest black families in the country, they kept making critical mistakes and didn't pivot when they needed to pivot. And I still deal with Ron Jr. to this day. He's a client of mine. And so that's one of the stories he always talks about, how they just didn't learn how to pivot in that time. But to tell you how important Whammo was, and that's why I never downplay, because, again, they allowed me to eat. And because of Nick let me do that intro, I was able to sell that package to other DJs in other states on intros. You know what I mean? So, but Whammo was so valuable that Kathy Hughes, who's one of the greatest people on this planet, one of the most powerful women in music and business, she was pushing the whole country to save Whammo. Remember that campaign?
Yep.
So that's how valuable Whammo was to the industry. And, of course, it didn't happen, but Kathy Hughes, she was pushing for somebody to step up and buy it. But I think there was something going on where she couldn't buy it because of something that was going on, like laws or something. But Whammo was very valuable, and it's still valuable to this day. Like Nick said, man, I don't say anything bad about them. They gave me a good start, and a lot of us.
Right. And I can even spin the block back on that. So let's talk about the legend Sly Jock.
Right. Yeah, we can't.
It easily, that's a pause moment right there. You know what I'm saying? You got to let his name breathe.
Yep.
Right.
Sly was your red alert. Sly was whatever big DJ in any market you want to name, he's that guy here. And for as much as anybody would love to sit there and say different things about when hip hop was played the most, guess what happened? Everybody was red eye Monday morning listening to Sly Jock's radio show.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Because I can tell you when the hip hop mixes were 1 a.m. and 4:45. I was up. So if you can say that you've heard of Sly Jock, that means you've listened to his radio show during those times. If you listen, why are you talking bad about it? To me, that's oxymoronic. You can't do that. And it opened up a lot of doors, not only for hip hop in Pittsburgh on the airways, it opened huge doors for him because he was doing numbers during these hours where the kids that went to grade school should have been asleep. Me personally, I had a boombox under my pillow listening to him so my grandmother didn't walk in the door. Didn't I tell you to go to sleep, boy? Because Monday morning, and I'm not a morning person. But I got that fresh slide jock tape in the Walkman, in them Shinley halls, bopping. So when it comes to that, you can, even if you don't approve of what Whammo has become over the years, you have to respect the things that they have done. And when it comes down to that, so let's just say universally Whammo was not your cup of tea, even though you listening to this day in 2024 where terrestrial radio is dead, people are still listening to Whammo. So how are you going to talk bad about something that you're still indulging in? That's like a crackhead saying crack is whack with the pipe in their hand. Make it make sense. Okay? But the antithesis to that was a little college radio station down the dial from the University of Pittsburgh called WPTS FM. The hip hop show in and of itself was founded by Kevin Huff and Melly Mel Plowden, God bless the OG. They started this show. They started doing the footwork, going to Stedfords and to these record stores to get records for the radio station. They did the legwork to get the numbers from the labels and start calling them and asking them to send music to the radio station. They were the first super organic hip hop radio show in this region with the things that they did. And that is how I found Nick Nice, who was an aspiring yet super duper ill battle DJ. Most people don't know that about Nick. Nick had a showcase in the student union in the afternoon, putting on a display when there were no cats doing that. He don't remember that. That was my first time seeing it. I sure don't remember that. I don't forget these things.
Right.
But Mel carried it until Whammo put him on because Whammo said, we need what you're doing down there here.
Right.
Then he passed it on to some cats from Philly. They filled the time. And it was a cat from Erie that gave me my start at WPTS. So he turned over the list of phone numbers. He turned over that primetime show, Friday nights at 9, to me. And I did radio the way I wanted to hear it done. And yes, it was the opposite of what Whammo was doing, but at that time, I had to learn the business because just like most fans, after a while, I got angry at Whammo. I'm like, well, where is this? Where is this? And why am I finding out about this music late? But the more I got into it, the more I started understanding the business. However, because I was on a college radio station and I had free reign to do whatever I want, if the record came in Friday afternoon, I can play it Friday night. No introduction. Hey, yo, we got that brand new, and I got test pressings in my basement as my receipts. We got the brand new Black Moon. You ain't heard of them, but they're out of Brooklyn. And it's dope. How many MCs? Let's go. I got the test pressing of Das Effects. I have the original disc makers from Wu-Tang. They looked me up and found me. And it was addressed to me. So the original Protect Your Neck, and Adam can attest to this because the tape looked the same, it's orange and yellow. And it had a B-side completely different from the Method Man song. So we had a chance, and I had freedom to do what Whammo couldn't because Whammo was bound by the business. WPTS was student run, university owned. So they encouraged expression. Well, that expression, because at that time it was at 98.5 in the dial, and it was a 16-watt radio station. It still is 16 watts. You get more wattage out of these lights than you got out of that radio station. Okay? But because it was at 98.5, what ended up happening is the signal became like a parasite to other frequencies on the dial. So it carried WPTS as far west as Youngstown, as far south as Morgantown, West Virginia, as far east as Greensburg, and damn near as far north as Erie. So within that, I garnered 250,000 listeners. Arbitron stats, not mine. So from there, the industry found me because we were doing things and we were introducing music as it happened. We didn't wait for industry politics. We introduced music as it happened. And then on the local scene, I always, because I was introduced to the backside of the industry and I was still an MC at heart, my immediate thought was Pittsburgh needed to compete with the world. I didn't play Pittsburgh artists just because they were from Pittsburgh. I didn't believe in that. Because as an MC, I had to be ready to battle whoever the hottest cat in the game was, not the hottest in Pittsburgh. Right. And I always wanted that best for the local artists. So I played the best of the best in this region. I didn't play everybody. And that helped my ratings. That helped them because since I didn't co-sign everybody, if I co-signed it, it's official. Now we got to go get this.
Hey, Black Steel, real quick, while you on this subject, because I don't want to lose 2 points. For those that are in the audience, can you tell them what Arbitron is and what Disc Makers is?
Yes. So start with Arbitron. Arbitron was the universal rating system to rate exactly how many people were listening and from where. So that was the rating system before it became the BDS and the people meters, which became later. So that's what that was.
Nielsen bought them all, right?
Eventually. But Nielsen was separate for the longest just for television. Arbitron was for radio. And Disc Makers is what independent, I can't say just local, independent artists used to press up tapes and vinyl, and then later on, when it came into play, CDs. So that's what that was. That Disc Makers was huge, and they would also do a lot of work for the labels as well. And when I got a shout out in March of '94 in Vibe magazine as having the only dope hip hop radio show in Pittsburgh. Ice Cube on the cover, the caption reads, "Who's afraid of Ice Cube?" Ice Cube had his fro pick in it. Again, it's a receipt. Look it up. I got the shout. The very next day that magazine hit, Mel calls me, "Hey, Hurricane wants you in the office." I said, "Well, who's Hurricane?" He's like, "That's my programming director. You got to come down to Whammo." And that is how I got on with Whammo the first time. It's because that much noise was generated from this 16-watt college radio station where everybody was listening
That
to.
radio station. I mean, I'm not going to lie. We listened to it. We had to play with it some nights, yeah.
Right. And that's because it was a 16-watt
yeah,
station.
don't move, yeah.
It was a 16-watt station.
And again, you also got to give Hurricane his love because he did his homework
100%.
on to make Whammo the best station he could make it when he was the program director.
Okay.
But two things, scared of Ice
Start
Cube.
wrapping it up here a little bit.
I met Ice Cube. We did under 21 in Memphis. No lie, this brother sat behind me for 3 hours straight, and I didn't say a damn word to him. That's what year was that when they broke off with NWA? When he broke off, whatever year that was.
'89.
That's when we were in Memphis because we used to record there every week. But
You
anyway,
go down to Memphis?
yeah, we used to go to. Pop was with me. It was Kiva Studios, the same studio as the Barcades and Prince.
Okay. I'm going to let Pop wrap it up because I
All
know
right.
he got a few more things.
Let him wrap it up. Could we just do this real quick?
Yeah.
So we talked about the radio station, how they get paid, right? So everybody on this panel right now, we got to do a commercial break for Vicky Soul Grill, allowing us to have this event here today. So I got my turkey ribs, my greens, my cabbage, and my yams waiting on me. But this is an establishment. Miss Linda, much love to you. Y'all got to come through, man. If you haven't ate here yet, you got to come here. Vicky Soul Grill. Is it Monday through Sunday?
It's Q&M now. It's Q&M.
Q&M now?
Yeah, we still know it as Vicky's, but
Got
it's
you.
Q&M.
Well, it's Q&M, and the barbecue sauce is off the chain. Q&M. I eat it all the time.
Man, y'all gotta get
So
the
much
turkey
love to
ribs.
Q&M, y'all. You got to come past and check us out.
Hey, before Brother Donald closes us out, man, let me be real clear about this industry,
Do
too.
not give my government name out there, bro.
Soda pop. You know, because some people get mad when you take them back in the day. But soda pop.
I hate my government name. Go ahead. Should name me Dookie Sandwich or something instead of Donald.
My nickname is Dookie. I like it.
That's his nickname. But I just want to say one thing, because I've seen a lot in this industry, like everybody up here, and if you don't keep your mental together, keep your health together, and if you stay on why you're doing this and not get it caught up in what everybody else is doing, man, you can have a fruitful career in this. But if you do get caught up in watching what everybody else has on their plate, it'll mess with your mental, man, and it'll have you check out early. And I say that because, you know, we lost a dear sister in Chris Kelly, who fell victim to that, man. And that sister helped me immensely. And so I just want to say R.I.P. to Chris Kelly, man, and those that got caught up in the system thinking that they got to live off of ratings and money. You know what I mean? Just understand that, man. You got to take care of yourself in this business, too.
Appreciate it. So, Soda, man, it's almost 6. Yeah, let's clap that up.
All right.
So I want you to please talk about how pop locking, and we're gonna finish with you showing us some moves. But
All right.
about
Well,
10 more minutes or so.
let me just get to this, man. I told you about the guys that came here, some of the guys that brought the dance here, who I met. Now there might have been other guys in other parts of Pittsburgh and other neighborhoods that probably came through here as well. But I'm telling you my story. So as I was telling y'all about Snake Leon, I started picking it up from him. And then I did pick up some from Ed Dickerson from Detroit. Me and him ended up becoming real cool. And every time he came in the summer, we would link up, and he started actually showing me correct ways in my form. Okay? So I picked up some from him. And really, the California kid, we got so close, we was calling each other cousins. He gave me the whole history behind where pop locking came from, and pop locking started in California on the West Coast. The breaking started in New York. Okay, and we got Paradise here that knows about all that too. He should know about all the b-boying and how b-boying came about through Kool Herc playing break beats. And the b-boys was breaking. That's why they started calling it breaking, because of the break beats. And all right, and how breaking and popping emerged and connected, and popping became a part of the elements of hip-hop, breaking and popping. DJing, MCing, graffiti art, breaking and popping, and then the knowledge as well, okay? So I learned, the Robotic TikTokers, I started the Robotic TikTokers after high school. I graduated in 83. I should have came out in 82. I graduated in 83, and right after, I was in Shadyside, used to go there to play basketball, and I ran into a kid named Mike McClung. He was in the 9th grade, still went to Peabody. I was out of high school, and I started teaching him. He became interested, because everywhere that I went, I would always practice all the time. I put the that was Mr. Motion. I put the basketball down, I would be practicing all the time, and he saw me, and he became interested in learning. So me and Kiki actually taught him. We started him out. So he introduced me to his father. His name was Elmer McClung. Elmer lived right across the street, and he would take me over there and say, "Dad, watch him dance." And I danced, and I was looking for a manager. By the way, I'm looking for a manager now. I'm a 60-year-old pop locker out here still getting down, bro. Okay then, all right. Manage, and we'll make money. But anyway, I danced in front of Elmer, and he's looking at me like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "Well, popping. Your son was learning." Since Mike was learning, we was like, we want a manager, and Kiki as well. We had another dude join us momentarily named H2O, who really was a part of the Entertainers. Okay, he danced with us for a little bit, and he went back to dancing with them. All right, so Elmer, I remember him he was one of those guys that sat on the couch and always watched programs on TV. He paused his remote control, and he watched us dance. And he was like, "You want me to manage that?" We was like, "Yeah." He was like, "All right," and went back to watching TV. And we walked out. So we went back in there again, and he watched us again. He was like, He's like, okay. He's like, I'm going to try something. And he knew a lot of people. He had a lot of pull. You know what I mean? So and as far as Richard Caligiuri, he was cool with Richard Caligiuri, so I didn't know all of this. Elmer was into politics. Heavy. And so he ended up getting us to dance at this one banquet hall. I think it was Judy's. He got us to dance there, and they liked us. That's when he started actually getting serious about managing us, and we started picking up new members as break dancing didn't hit Pittsburgh until like 83. It hit us late. Paradise, it hit us late. And some guys that were poppers wanted to be B-boys. I even tried to be a B-boy. I tried being a B-boy, and I decided I would stick with popping.
Right.
Okay, and then we started picking up guys that started breaking, and the first guy that could windmill in Pittsburgh was Mr. Windmill. His name was Iran McGriff from Penn Hills. Mm-hmm. He's the first dude that can windmill. He did it down at Heaven. Speaking of Heaven, when the X-Clan came down there and they brought D-Nice with them. Yep. I was there. You know what I mean? So that's how our group started developing. But I started the group. I came up with the name Robotic TikTokers. I wasn't always a soda pop kid. I used to be Captain Tick. Then I changed my name to something else, but I wanted something that rung a bell.
Right,
Since I liked the style of popping at the time, more than waving, more than tutting, more than all of that, I wanted a popping name. I could have been Mr. Pop, Pop a Lot, Snap, Crackle, and Pop. I wanted something that rung a bell. Soda Pop Kid, and I liked that. But before I was Soda Pop Kid and the Robotic TikTokers, I was Sir Tut. Because of my touch, somebody tried to force that name on me because of my touch. And this one white dude that watched me and Kiki in the talent show, he's like, yo, you're Tuts. I'm going to start calling you Tut. I was like, no, the hell you're not. But it ended up sticking with me. Right. But I didn't like it because it was bland, plain.
Real quick, you know, because, we got to start wrapping up here.
Right.
You just went out to California on one? Tell us.
In 2022, there's this event held out in California every year called the OG Poppers Picnic.
Yeah, you can see it on YouTube.
Okay, a guy that throws that, he goes by the name of Midnight. Okay, the thing, I've been mad at Pittsburgh for years, for a long time, man. Mad because we got all this knowledge up here today.
Right.
I didn't know that we had all this knowledge. I thought I was the only one with some hip-hop knowledge left in Pittsburgh, and I was upset because of it. So I thought I was all by myself, okay? Popping, I left popping alone for 11 years. I backed away from it for 11 years and got into the hip-hop dancing, the dance that MC Hammer used to do. I got into that. I fell into that. You know what I mean? But he did not start that dance. I started in New York as well. Okay, but he just, okay, so I got into that for a few years. I ended up out there in Bridgeville battling them white kids and all that thought that they can dance. They thought they was kid and play. I'm out there battling them. I got into that, got out of that, got back into rapping. This time I came back as a gangster rapper because of NWA and all that. I got into that for a while. In 97, I got back into popping because I used to go to these clubs. I was a heavy clubber and see a lot of these freestyling kids trying to add popping into what they were doing, and their foundation sucked. And I was sitting there watching the kid trying to wave, and I ended up battling him, even though I was rusty. That made me go home, get back in the mirror, and start practicing. The dance didn't actually play out. It went underground. Popping and breaking went underground. It didn't actually play out. I thought it was gone, but I said to myself, I'm going to start doing it again, and I'll probably be the baddest popper in all the world because all the rest of them quit. When I found out, this is what happened. In 98, I went to this club. They opened up an an 18 and over club called Laga in Oakland. When they opened up Laga,
save that for the next time.
When they opened up Laga, it was every Thursday. I was 18 and over. I never heard of this before. And I went down there. And when I went there, this is a crazy story. I'm going to go as brief as I can. I went down there. I was like 2.5 months back into practicing. I went down there, and these college kids, they had a cipher going on, and they were breaking. And I'm standing there watching them. I was like, breaking is coming back? And these kids were breaking.
Right.
But I fell back. I thought they were making fun of breaking. I didn't say nothing. I fell back. The next week I went down there. They're doing it again. The third week I went down there. They're breaking, and my cousin was with me. He's like, yo, man, get in there and show them how it's done. I was like, they're breaking. I'm a pop locker. If anybody gets out there and start popping, then I'll go out. And this one dude went out there. He called himself the Brown Hornet. He went to CMU, and he was from Long Island, New York. He was going to CMU. He went out there, and he reminded me of me before I learned how to dance. I was just like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
Then I went out there. By the time I got done, all them dudes was following me around the club like, where the hell are you from? Where are you from? I was like, I'm from here. They was like, dude, oh my God. And they were like, you know who Mr. Wiggles is? You know who Mr. Wiggles is, don't you? He's like, you know Wiggles? You know? I was like, no, I don't. I know of him. I've seen him dance, but I don't personally know him. Are you better than him? You battle him? I was like, all right. No, I never battled these guys, but I know of them. And I ended up teaching. These guys wanted to get under my wing. One dude was from Florida. There was a B-boy named Kid Cuba. The Brown Hornet, he was the main one. Teach me. I was like, okay. I'll teach you. I ended up going down that club every week and teaching these dudes how to dance with all these females around. I got tired of it. I was like, all these females. I'm not down here to be teaching y'all how to dance. Right. I'm down here to get chicks and numbers. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
Let's see something, Pop.
yes, can I finish, man? You talked your eyebrows off, didn't you? I started teaching somebody. I started teaching them how to dance, and then I had these guys under my wing. A couple of them ended up moving in with me and learning.
That's
and then,
a whole nother story.
Yeah, group. One of them college guys gave us a flyer of a battle that was going to happen in Florida called the Pro-Am. Where I met Little Lep was there, Popmaster Fable, and their names was on there. And I was like, man, I gotta go there because we were never on the map. Pittsburgh was never on the map for breaking. We were never on the map. It's good. We had a bunch of B-boys and poppers, a whole lot of them, females included, back in the day, which I have a listed home of 80-something poppers and breakers that I've kept this list ever since 1984, okay? And all the crews that we actually had, we were never really on the map. So I went to Florida to the program. We drove there, 20-hour drive, one way, so that I can get down there and get recognized. And I went down there and entered that battle. Ended up being in the Final Four, me, a kid from San Jose called Tommy Boy, San Jose, California, a dude from Cuba named Darwin, and another kid from, he was from Connecticut named Fideas. We was the last four in the battle. Mm-hmm. Okay, I went against the Cuban kid, me and Fideas was black, and it was two Latinos. All the judges was Latino. Okay, right. So it was almost like it's a Latino thing we don't understand, it seemed like. But I went up against Darwin. Technically, I felt I beat him. The audience felt I beat him. He beat me. It ended up being Tommy Boy and Darwin in the last two, but I got a lot of respect. I gained some respect because of that, because I battled. I'm covered with tattoos. I'm covered in tattoos, so I battled with no shirt on. And they was like intimidated, like this dude got all these tats and he's out there and his actual body is doing the moves. He ain't hiding behind a baggy shirt.
But Soda, you've been doing this way longer than them castles even before.
Well, yeah, exactly. So after the Pro-Am, I went back in 99 and 2000 as well. And then I ended up going to the Bronx, the skate key, in the Bronx and entering back to Mecca. They was having back to Mecca every year. I started going down there and I met Bam Bam from the Liquid Robots and all those guys too. And I started connecting with the Connecticut pop lockers And I started to realize that this is coming back, but not in Pittsburgh. It's everywhere else, but not coming back in Pittsburgh. And I was like the only last pop locker left here, and just by myself. Yeah, you know what I mean? Still trying to hold the torch up here.
Well,
still.
we're going to do that because, and I don't want to interrupt you, but I know Mark used to rock with y'all.
Smithson?
Was that
Mark, was he Mr. Wave? We called him
exactly.
named after the Mr. Wave. He took the name of Mr.
Right,
Wave. But look,
right,
and I want to let you know, me and Mr. Wave battled back at the Celebrity back in the day. But he don't remember the battle. We battled. We almost got into a fist fight.
That's what I was getting ready to get into because I remember the TikTokers, and I think it was around the Flash Dance days. They had the movie, and the New York City Breakers came to Pittsburgh. And me and Mr. Wave got into it down at the Celebrity.
Right. We got into it. Somebody started that thing. I
don't know who started.
Yeah, somebody instigated that. Some dude from New York instigated that. I'm gonna tell you why. Yeah.
Who did Brian Park stand for?
Oh, Brian was in the Mechanical Wizard. That's my man still. He's still around. He's still around. But yeah, we went down there, and he was down at the Celebrity, and this kid started this thing between us because me and this Jewish kid moved here. And he thought New York, nobody can touch New York in popping or breaking. And me and him got into it. I was like, the poppers in New York can't touch California poppers. And we would get into an argument. He was like, New York this, New York that. So when Mr. Wave came, Hawkeye was able to get Mr. Wave out of the hotel. Down there. I didn't know he was going to be there. When I walked in there, he's like, there he is. And I was like, and I looked over at I was like, yeah, here I am. Here I am what? And man, you was talking all this stuff on New York. And I was like, New York poppers can't beat California pop. Popping came from California. I was like, I'm not saying that New York didn't have good poppers because I entered a battle with Wiggles Judge, so we got cool. So Mr. Wade was sitting there, and this dude's running his mouth. So I was like, man, we were talking, and Mr. Wade was like, man, them California guys, they wave real slow. And I was like, and you wave too fast. I was like, you all off beat. And he got mad and jumped up, and I was like, what? I was like, you do the same moves over and over and over and over. And then we was getting ready to get into it, and Hawkeye jumped in there and was like, no, take it to the dance floor. So it ended up being a session. Because we had some poppers down there, but not all our poppers. We had some down there, and we just did a quick session. And
well, the rumor has it that Pittsburgh ended up beating the Cats that battled them. And I want to just segue into and give you the mic back, Marlon, but we want to talk about these stories in the next, because we're going to do this in other parts of town. Right. So whether it's Bell Suver, whether it's McKeesport, Homewood, we're going to take this around. So you're going to get a chance to tell more of these stories.
Let me just say one more thing. I'm going to tell you how I met Nick Nice. I'm going to go out there and do some moves. Nick, I'm going to tell you how I was in Beauty Academy, right? And I graduated. And there was this girl named Joyce Palmer, which is Kiki's cousin, because that's his last name. She was like, I want my boyfriend's hair cut. Can you cut my boyfriend's hair? Not knowing he was white. I was like, yeah, I'll cut his hair. You know what I mean? She was like, yeah, he's a DJ. I was like, is he good? She was like, man, he's good. He's real good. Now, at the time, I had all these tapes, DJ Red Alert tapes, coming in from New York with DJ Red Alert scratching and mixing. And that's when Mantronics first came around. I used to love Mantronics, boy. I used to love them dudes. And this was this jam called Hardcore Hip Hop. And the way that Red Alert had mixed it, he kept making it start over. And I wanted Nick to do that same thing. But I was like, who's your boyfriend? And then when I met him, I looked at him, he was staring at me and I was staring at him. And I was just staring at him, I said to myself, I was like, he's white. And I didn't know that there was white DJs that can actually scratch. And I'm looking at him like, he's a DJ. I was like, he probably suck, right? I'm saying this to myself. I was like, but I cut his hair, and I asked him, I was like, Nick, I let him hear this tape. I was like, I need you to mix me something before knew that he was good. And so I gave him a haircut. He liked his haircut. So I was explaining to him how DJ with Alert kept making this song start over. He kept starting it, and blending it. And by me explaining it to him, he actually did it. I was like, this white boy is sickening. I was like excited because we had a white boy in the TikTokers named Rich that was good. You know what I mean? It was real good. And I was like, man, this dude is, I was like, man, I ain't never seen a white boy scratch and do what he's going coast to coast. I was like, this white, I used to brag about Nick. I was like, man, he got a white boy that can DJ, he can scratch, he can, you know what I mean? That's how I met Nick and got cool with Nick, because I found myself over his house every week wanting him to make me a tape. Every damn week, the same one over. It's like if a new song came out, I wanted it on that same tape. That's how
let's wrap this up. We're gonna wrap this up. But before we get out of here, one thing I want to talk about on the next segment, if we can, because I know some of y'all will be on the panel again. Let's talk about the history of, not just Mel Plowton. His son is dope now too. But Mel Plowton, and we talk about Mr. Harry Belafonte, and Mr. B bringing that whole breaking movie and all that stuff to Pittsburgh. That was big for us. Yeah. So rapping, because a lot of people don't know that his daughter went to CMU, and that was the connection for him in Pittsburgh. But we're gonna get into some more of that type of history on the next segment.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we gotta wrap it up. I wanted Nick. Just one last story, Nick. You got to tell. It was a couple of Tupac stories in Pittsburgh that were kind of funny. Could you just rap, and then we're gonna let Soda. Oh, okay, Paradise. Can you just tell? Okay. Can you just tell us the one Tupac story? I think you said it was at the club. And he was cutting up. It was kind of funny.
The first time I met Tupac, he wasn't Tupac yet. He came with Digital Underground. He was Tupac, yeah. Yeah.
Just call him Tupac.
Tupac. However, everywhere we went in the city, he almost got in a fight with everybody in the city. So after they performed, I think they performed in Duquesne. Down the Palumbo Center. I took him to the Travelers Club, which used to be the Tourist Club. When Sherman, so if anybody knew Sherman, Sherman didn't play. So Sherman said, Nick, Sin City. So Sherman said, look, I know these is your boys, I know they artists, but if they ain't 21, they ain't getting in. Tupac started running his mouth. Sherman was like, look, you better let that boy know right now who I am, or he's not going to leave Pittsburgh. So I'm going to leave it at that. But he did just about everywhere we went. You know what I mean? But to know him as a person, he was that dude. He was cool. You know how some people you can't really stand, but when you finally get a chance to meet him and know him, you wind up liking him. So, yeah, I got a million stories. And one other quick one with Flavor Flav. We took him to Chatham Sports. So that's the time when they had the hoop court in there. So he wound up, you know how silly he is, the clock, and dunked the ball.
Right.
And it bounced over and hit this white guy in the face. He was sitting, trying to get some new shoes on. And he had glasses and everything. So Flav, so Flav went over to him. He was like, look, I'm so sorry. I apologize. You and your son, I'll buy you 2 pairs each, tennis shoes. So when we left, Flav kicked all that. He was like, man, if he would have knew who I was, he'd have probably sued the hell out of me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an old dude, I'm sure.
Yeah, but we got to, yeah.
We're going to have to do this again, but
We got a lot of stories.
Yeah, a lot of stories, but I want to wrap it up, and I want Soda to do a little pop block, and I want to thank y'all for coming here, and appreciate it, man. Much love. And Marlon, can we put some pop blocking music?
All right, hey.
Oh.
Yeah, you will. Hold on.
Yeah.
Speaking of Public Enemy, they're still rapping, and I danced in one of their videos called "I Shall Not Be Moved." You can see that on YouTube.
Okay, I just wanted to say that this is the year of the b-boy and breakdancing, and this year in France at the Summer Olympics, breakdancing will be a Olympic sport for the first time in history.
Wow, okay, let's give it up for
I
that.
should have mentioned that.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, Shonda Boo was one of my clients before
Yeah.
he died.
Yeah, I mean, we was friends on Facebook.
Yeah, all right. We're going to go out on some pop blocking. If we,
Yeah, Dad.
all right, I just want to say real quick, I'm starting tours here in Pittsburgh, Black History tours. I'm working on getting my van, so if anybody wants to support, I'm going to probably try to set up a Patreon or something like that. I'd appreciate any type of help of getting funds for this van so I can start Black History tours. I appreciate it on that. But yeah, I'm going to let Soda Pop go.